God's there for you. Good day, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. I want you to hear me today, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because I came here to tell you something that you may have forgotten. God is there for you. I know life gets tough. I know there are days when the weight of the world feels too heavy to carry. You've been through storms. You've cried yourself to sleep. You've questioned whether you can keep going. And in those moments, doubt creeps in. Fear knocks on your door. But I need you to hold on to this truth. You are not alone. When you feel like you're walking through the fire, understand that God is walking with you. When you feel like you're in the valley, understand that He's already planning your mountaintop. When you feel lost, He's guiding your steps. Sometimes we look at our struggles and ask, why is this happening to me? But I challenge you to ask a different question. What is God trying to show me? Because every hardship is not a punishment. It's preparation. Every setback is not a failure. It's a setup for something greater. Listen to me. God didn't bring you this far just to leave you. He didn't put purpose in your heart just to let it fade away. He's there in the silence. He's there in the chaos. He's there when you win, and He's there when you fall. But you have to trust Him. You have to believe that He is working things out for your good. You have to remind yourself that even when you don't see the way, He is the way. Even when the doors seem closed, He has the keys. So today I want you to stand strong. Lift your head. Wipe those tears. Square your shoulders and step forward in faith, because you are not forgotten, you are not forsaken, and you are not finished. Say it with me. God's got me. Say it again. God's got me. Now walk out of here knowing that whatever comes next, you are covered, you are protected, you are loved, and no matter what, God is there for you. God is always with you, even in your darkest moments. He has not left your side. 0.2. Your struggles are preparation, not punishment. Every challenge is shaping you for something greater. 0.3. Trust in God's plan. Even when you don't see the way, He is making a way. 0.4. Stand strong in faith. Lift your head, wipe your tears, and move forward with confidence. 0.5. You are never forgotten or forsaken, are always over you. There are moments in life when we feel completely alone. Times when the weight of our struggles presses so heavily on our shoulders that we begin to wonder if anyone sees, if anyone cares. We cry out, and it seems as if our prayers echo into silence. The storms rage, the walls close in, and doubt whispers, "Where is God?" But let me tell you something. Just because you don't feel Him doesn't mean He's not there. Think about a child who wakes up in the middle of the night, afraid of the dark. They cry out for their parent. And even if that parent is standing right next to the bed, the child may not see them. But just because they don't see them doesn't mean they aren't there. Just because they don't feel their embrace at that moment doesn't mean they aren't watching over them. That's how God is with us. He never steps away. He never abandons us. His presence is constant, even when our awareness of Him is not. When we go through trials, it's easy to believe we've been left behind. Pain can distort our vision. Disappointment can cloud our faith. We assume that if God were truly with us, we wouldn't be struggling. But the presence of problems does not mean the absence of God. He never promised a life free of hardship. He promised that He would never leave us to face it alone. Look at the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were thrown into a blazing furnace for standing firm in their faith. By all logic, they should have been consumed by the fire. But when the king looked into the flames, he didn't just see 3 men. He saw 4. God didn't keep them out of the fire, but He stepped into it with them. And when they walked out, they weren't burned. Their clothes weren't even singed. That's the kind of God we serve. He may not always take you out of the storm, but He will stand in the storm with you. There are times in our lives when we look back and realize that what we thought would break us actually made us stronger. The situations we thought would destroy us ended up revealing God's faithfulness in ways we never expected. We don't always see His hand in the moment, but later we recognize that He was guiding us all along. Think about a time in your life when you thought you wouldn't make it through. Maybe it was a loss, a betrayal, a financial crisis, or an illness. At that moment, you may have felt abandoned, unsure of how you would recover, but you're still here. You survived what you thought would take you out. That wasn't by accident. That wasn't just luck. That was God. He was there when you were crying behind closed doors. He was there when you thought no one understood. He was there strengthening you when you had nothing left to give. God's presence is not always about removing obstacles. Sometimes it's about giving you the strength to overcome them. He's not just the God of miracles. He's the God of endurance. He's not just the God of blessings. He's the God of perseverance. He walks with you through the valleys. He stands beside you in the battles, and He carries you when you can't take another step. The enemy wants you to believe that you're alone, that no one sees your pain, that no one understands your struggles, but that is a lie. God sees every tear. He hears every prayer. He knows every burden weighing on your heart. And even in the moments when you feel invisible, He is working behind the scenes, arranging things in your favor. There are times in life when we face challenges so overwhelming that we begin to question everything. We ask, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? Is God punishing me? These questions come naturally when we feel like we are being hit from all sides, when nothing seems to be going right, and when we feel stuck in a cycle of struggle. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if instead of seeing our struggles as punishment, we saw them as preparation? Every great person who has ever achieved something significant has faced obstacles that tested their faith, their strength, and their endurance. The road to purpose is never smooth, and the higher the calling, the greater the resistance. When we look at the trials in our lives as something meant to break us, we rob ourselves of the lesson they are trying to teach us. But when we understand that every hardship is shaping us for something greater, we begin to embrace the process instead of resenting it. A seed does not grow without first being buried. In the darkness of the soil, it may feel isolated, abandoned, and forgotten. But what's really happening is transformation. That seed is developing roots, strengthening itself beneath the surface before it ever breaks through the ground. If the seed were planted and expected to grow without first going through that hidden season, it would not survive. The same is true for us. Sometimes what feels like darkness is actually a place of growth. Sometimes what feels like a setback is the very thing positioning us for what's next. Think about the story of Joseph. He had a dream of greatness, a vision of his future. But before he ever stepped into that promise, he had to endure betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment. If Joseph had looked at his struggles as punishment, he might have given up. But what he didn't know in those moments of pain was that every experience was preparing him for his purpose. He was developing resilience, learning wisdom, and gaining strength, so that when the time came, he would be ready. The same applies to you. The struggles you face are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to develop you. The pressure you feel is not there to crush you. It is there to refine you. Gold must go through fire to be purified. Diamonds must endure intense pressure to shine. The strongest trees must endure the harshest winds to grow deep roots. Your challenges are shaping you, making you stronger and more prepared for the blessings ahead. It's easy to feel frustrated when you're in the middle of the process. It's easy to compare your journey to others and wonder why things seem to be working out for them while you are still struggling. But what you don't see is what God is building in you. He is equipping you with the patience, the endurance, and the faith necessary to handle what He has in store. Because if you step into your purpose too soon, without the preparation, it will crush you instead of elevate you. There are lessons in the struggle, Strength is built in the waiting. Faith is developed in the unknown. God does not waste pain. He uses it. The disappointments, the delays, the detours, they're all part of the plan. What looks like rejection is often redirection. What looks like a loss is often making room for something greater. What feels like a dead end is often the turning point that leads to the breakthrough. Instead of asking, "Why me?" start asking, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of resisting the process, start trusting that there is purpose in it. Growth is not comfortable, but it is necessary. The challenges you are facing are not evidence of God's absence. They are proof that He is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Trusting in God's plan is one of the hardest things to do, especially when life doesn't seem to be going the way we expected. It's easy to have faith when everything is falling into place, when the doors are opening, when the blessings are flowing. But what about when things don't make sense? What about when the doors shut? When the answers don't come, when the path forward is unclear? That's when trust is truly tested. That's when we must decide whether we will rely on our own understanding or surrender to the greater plan that God has already set in motion. We like to be in control. We like to know what's coming next, to have everything mapped out, to feel like we have a say in how our lives unfold. But faith does not work that way. Faith is believing even when we don't see the full picture. It's trusting that God is working even when nothing seems to be changing. It's walking forward even when we don't know where the road will lead. Imagine a child holding their parent's hand while crossing the street. The child may not understand the traffic signals, the speeding cars, or the dangers ahead. But they don't have to, because they trust the one leading them. They believe that as long as they hold on, they will be safe. That's how we are supposed to trust God. He sees what we cannot see. He knows what we do not know. He understands the timing, the purpose, the process. But the only way we can get to where He's leading us is if we stop trying to control the journey and start trusting the one who already knows the destination. Sometimes trusting God means accepting that not everything will go according to our plans. There will be moments of disappointment, seasons of waiting, and times when we feel like nothing is happening. But just because we don't see immediate results doesn't mean that God is not working. Some of the greatest blessings require time to develop. Some of the most beautiful testimonies are built in the seasons of uncertainty. Think about Noah. God told him to build an ark when there wasn't a cloud in the sky. People probably laughed at him, mocked him, and questioned his sanity. But Noah didn't wait for rain to believe. He obeyed because he trusted in God's word. And when the rain finally came, he and his family were safe because he had trusted even when it didn't make sense. Abraham was promised that he would be the father of many nations, yet he and Sarah had to wait years before they even had one child. In that waiting, he could have given up. He could have doubted. But he held on to God's promise, even when his situation seemed impossible. The same principle applies to us. Just because things aren't happening as quickly as we'd like doesn't mean God has forgotten us. Delay is not denial. Closed doors are not rejection. They are often protection. We think we know what's best, but only God sees the full picture. He knows which opportunities would harm us if we got them too soon. He knows which relationships would pull us away from our purpose. He knows which paths would lead to dead ends. We get frustrated when we don't get what we want, but sometimes the very thing we're asking for is not what's best for us. We may be praying for something that would limit us when God wants to give us something greater. We may be focused on what's in front of us. While God is preparing something beyond what we can imagine, trusting God's plan requires surrender. It means letting go of our timeline, our expectations, and our need for control. It means believing that even when things don't make sense, God is still in control. It means holding on to faith even when the road is unclear. It means choosing to trust that His ways are higher than ours. His thoughts are greater than ours, and His plans for us are better than anything we could create for ourselves. Life will test you. It will push you, shake you, and challenge everything you thought you knew. There will be moments when you feel exhausted, when you wonder if you have anything left to give, moments when you feel overwhelmed by disappointment, fear, and uncertainty. But in those moments, you have a choice to make. You can let the weight of life crush you, or you can stand strong in faith, knowing that no storm lasts forever. Faith is not about having all the answers. It's not about never feeling doubt or fear. Faith is about standing firm even when you don't understand. It's about choosing to believe even when your circumstances tell you otherwise. It's about refusing to give up when everything in you wants to quit. The strongest people are not the ones who never struggle. They are the ones who refuse to let struggle define them. They are the ones who keep moving forward even when the road is difficult. Think about David when he faced Goliath. He was just a young shepherd boy standing before a giant that an entire army was afraid of. From the outside, he had every reason to be afraid. He was smaller, weaker, and had no armor. But David didn't look at Goliath with fear. He looked at him with faith. He didn't focus on the size of the problem. He focused on the power of his God. And because he stood strong in faith, he defeated what seemed impossible. That same faith lives in you. That same strength is inside you. The difference between those who overcome and those who give up is not that one group never faces challenges. It's that one group chooses to stand strong no matter what comes their way. They refuse to let fear dictate their decisions. They refuse to let failure define their future. They refuse to let hardship steal their hope. It's easy to feel defeated when things don't go your way. It's easy to believe that just because something is difficult, it's not meant for you. But sometimes the very thing that feels like resistance is actually a test of your endurance. The struggle is not there to stop you, it's there to strengthen you. Look at the process of refining gold. It has to go through intense heat, through fire, before it becomes pure and valuable. If gold could feel, it would probably want to escape the fire. It would probably question why it has to go through so much heat. But without that process, it wouldn't become what it was meant to be. The same applies to you. The struggles you are facing are shaping you, refining you, and making you stronger than you ever thought possible. Standing strong in faith means refusing to be moved by what you see. It means choosing to believe that even in the waiting, God is working. It means knowing that even when you don't understand, there is a greater purpose behind it all. When life pushes you, push back with faith. When fear knocks on your door, answer it with courage. When doubt creeps in, remind yourself of every time you have overcome before. You have made it through storms you thought would break you. You have survived things you once thought were impossible. That is proof that you are stronger than you think. That is proof that God's hand has been on your life all along. When you feel weak, remind yourself of the strength that has carried you this far. When you feel afraid, remind yourself that you are not alone. When you feel uncertain, remind yourself that faith is not about knowing the outcome. It's about trusting that no matter what, you are being led in the right direction. There will be moments in life when you feel weak, when the battles you face seem too great, and when giving up feels like the easiest option. It's in those moments that you must remember one powerful truth. God is your strength. You were never meant to do this on your own. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. That's why God promises to be your refuge, your protector, and your source of power when you feel like you have nothing left to give. Strength does not come from never facing difficulties. It comes from enduring them, from pushing through when everything inside you wants to stop. True strength is not about how much you can handle alone. It's about how much you are willing to trust God to carry you through. The strongest people are not those who never struggle, but those who know where to turn when they do. There is a story in the Bible about a man named Gideon. He was called to lead an army against an enemy that seemed impossible to defeat. At first, he was afraid. He doubted himself, he questioned God's plan, and he felt unqualified for the battle ahead. But God reminded him that the victory was never about his own strength, it was about God's power working through him. With a much smaller army than expected, Gideon won the battle, not because he was the strongest warrior, but because he trusted in the strength of God. That same strength is available to you no matter what you are facing, no matter how impossible it seems. You are not fighting alone. God is with you in every battle, in every struggle, in every moment when you feel like you can't go on. The enemy wants you to believe that you are too weak, that you are not enough, that you don't have what it takes to make it through. But that is a lie. The same power that parted the Red Sea, that brought down the walls of Jericho, that raised Jesus from the dead, that power is alive in you. So we feel weak because we are trying to fight in our own strength. We push, we strive, we try to control everything, and when things don't go our way, we feel exhausted and defeated. But what if the strength you need isn't found in striving? What if it's found in surrender? What if the moment you release your worries, your fears, and your burdens to God, you finally find the strength you've been searching for? Think about an eagle. When a storm comes, smaller birds seek shelter, but an eagle does not run from the wind. It rises above it. It uses the power of the storm to soar higher. That is what God wants for you. He doesn't want you to be weighed down by life's struggles. He doesn't want you to collapse under the pressure. He wants you to rise, to trust, to let his power lift you above the storm. When you feel weak, remind yourself of how far you've come. Every challenge you've faced, every battle you've won, every storm you've survived. That is proof that you are stronger than you think. But more importantly, it is proof that God has been with you every step of the way. He has carried you through moments when you didn't think you would make it. He has strengthened you in ways you didn't even realize. Life will test you, but God will sustain you. There is no challenge too big, no obstacle too great, no burden too heavy when you rely on his strength. When you feel like you can't take another step, he will carry you. When you feel like you have no fight left, he will be your warrior. When you feel like giving up, he will remind you that with him, all things are possible. Subscribe my channel for more motivation. Jackass Motivation /slide. Thanks for watching.